All right, good afternoon, everybody. It is the Safety and the Sportswriter show with Knoxville Nate and Big Joe as we come to talk to you on a Saturday afternoon with some, at least one supposedly big-time game going on, Penn State and Michigan, without Jim Harbaugh, who may soon be looking back at the NFL. We got a full slate of NFL tomorrow. And right now we have the team I root for in a total mess and a total free fall heading into Dallas, and I'm trying like hell to come up with a reason to watch the game tomorrow because I think it's going to be a total mess. I don't expect, Nate, that your third string quarterback is going to give you a chance to win championships, but this kid looks like he doesn't even belong in the roster. I don't know. What do you think?
They signed Matt Barkley. Okay,
Oh,
they signed Matt Barkley. He's on the active roster. He's backing up Danny DeVito, and they should start him tomorrow. He knows the offense just as good as this kid, and there is no way that he can do a worse job.
And he's actually won some NFL games.
Yeah, he can throw the ball more than 8 yards. I just don't understand that. That doesn't make any sense. If you're actually trying to win, then put a guy in who could maybe give you a chance.
Right. My niece's son's name is Toby DeVito, and I would rather have him than Tommy DeVito, and he's 6 years old.
Well, I might rather have Danny DeVito. I mean, he's a little old now, but he could sneak under the defenders. So
it just I still want to keep believing in Brian Dable and Shane, but it's hard to believe that they even when Jones first went down and you had Tyrod Taylor in there, you had to look at the eventuality that Tyrod Taylor was going to get hurt and have somebody ready to go. I mean, this Giant season has been mishandled awfully. I mean, even the offseason, they didn't make the move they should have made. They botched the Saquon Barkley negotiations. Graham Gano has been kicking with a bad knee nobody knew about for an offense that can't score more than 10 points a game. So he's going to be needed, and you have a field goal kicker kicking with the ineptitude. It just reminds me of what it reminds me of when the Jets had Richie Kotite as their coach. The stupidity of that era. I just don't get it.
You could have signed Carson Wentz about 6 weeks ago. You could have signed Colt McCoy 6 weeks ago. I mean, that's been Taylor's problem his whole career. He's a pretty good quarterback, honestly, and a really good backup, but he just can't stay healthy.
Right.
And that's been his MO since he first came into the league. And I feel bad for him because he was actually playing pretty good.
Yeah, but for a bad team.
Yeah, he just can't stay healthy. And, here's Penn State is on the 3-yard line again and cannot score. I mean, they can't win. And also, you said they're playing without Jim Harbaugh today. If you really believe that he's not in communication with these guys, telling them what to do, then you got wool over your eyes because there's no way he decided, let's play it straight up today, guys. Let's stop cheating for the first time in 3 years and do it right. No way.
We were talking about that last night. Me and a couple of friends of mine. I'm like, yeah, what you mean? He's not on the doing a Skype call with somebody up in the box.
Yeah, he's texting or he's calling or he's somewhere close and he's on the headset.
Yeah,
there's no way that they're not cheating because that's what they do. And it blows me away the reaction of their fans. They're acting like they're getting picked on. They're acting like that the conference is doing something wrong by punishing them for cheating. I mean, come on. Oh man, it's hard to believe.
It's just fans will always make excuses for. Around any they just can't see when their teams are. It's like around here. It's like around here when the Yankee fans cry about the Astros cheating, even though the Yankees were cheating just as well. They just weren't doing it as well. So it's it's the craziness of sports. You just can't get tied up in it. But I think it does leave a back door open. For Harbaugh to leave, maybe go back to the NFL, which he's been romancing with for the last few years. Who knows what's going to happen from here on out? But it's another,
we'll
another
see.
black eye.
He's wanted to go to the NFL and hasn't gotten an offer the last several years. I mean, if you remember 2 years ago, after they got their asses kicked by Georgia, he really wanted the Vikings job.
Right.
And he went and interviewed for it. Both of his coordinators bolted because they thought that he was gone. And the Vikings brass interviewed him and was like, damn, this guy is an asshole. And they didn't want him. So, I'm not 100% believing that people actually want this guy back in the NFL. I mean, he's a dick. And that's a
don't
big
sugarcoat
problem.
it.
I'm not saying he's not a good coach. He actually is a pretty good coach. Even when he's not cheating, he's okay. But he took the 49ers to the Super Bowl, bro, and they couldn't get him out of there fast enough because no one could handle him.
Well, he definitely has a personality that I don't even think you can call it an acquired taste. He is what he is. I mean,
that's exactly what Trent Baalke said when someone asked about him. They were like, a lot of people told me it was an acquired taste, and he's like, I got some of it and had to spit it out of my mouth. So it's definitely the rumor.
Yeah, I mean, he is what he is. I mean, I don't think he's his brother as far as personalities go and everything, but whatever. It is. It is what it is with these guys. Let's get back to the NFL. Not a lot of great games coming up. I mean, last week, you had a great game in Europe. Now we have the Patriots against the Colts. I'm not getting up to watch that one, really. It's this week. I mean, the games I'm interested in this week, the Bengals Texans looks like it could be a really good game. See if your boy Stroud is ready to take on Joe Burrow and match throw for throw with him. Looks like he has been all year so far.
I wanted to ask your opinion about that, actually. I really wanted to get – because, my opinion, and I stated my opinion last year and at the time of the draft and after the draft, and so everyone knows my opinion. Do you think that the Panthers made a mistake?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't help but see. I mean, all you had to do was look at Thursday night's game. I mean,
he got outplayed by a guy that every team, basically there was a compensatory pick. So there was 8 rounds essentially of the NFL draft, and every team, decided not to draft Badgett 8 times, and he was the better quarterback. I mean, that it was evident to anyone who knows anything about football that he was better than Bryce Young, and the talent. And I'm not just talking about like better that one night. If you look at the talent level, his arm was just as strong. His ability to read defenses, his ability to run the football, his ability to avoid pressures, everything was just as good, if not better.
And the thing that's more even as disturbing, if not more, is he has a quarterback-friendly head coach, supposedly, a quarterback guru working with him.
Exactly.
And you would be expecting him to be further along than CJ Stroud is, and he's not. It's
exactly. And a better team.
Right.
I mean, people I heard Alex Smith and Kirk Herbstreit was saying it the entire game, and Alex Smith on NFL radio was saying it that CJ Stroud's got better weapons. And I'm like, are you fucking hearing the bull crap that's coming out of your mouth? Nico Collins. I mean, you couldn't pick out the Houston Texans wide receivers out of a lineup if you had $1 million.
Unless you're their family.
Exactly. And maybe those people couldn't even do it. I mean, we're talking about Nico Collins here. We're talking about Robert Woods, who's 31 years old and wasn't good when he was 21 years old. Hell, I can't even name some of these other guys.
Tell me how many rookie quarterbacks have thrown for 500 yards in a game.
I can't recall one. I think that was the record. I mean, he had 500 yards in a game and 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And the thing with him is, too,
he's not making mistakes.
He's not making any mistakes. He's got 14 touchdown passes and 1 interception. for a rookie. I mean, that's unbelievable.
You know what it reminded me? I mean, you'd be too young for this, but this reminded me of when Dan Marino first came in the league.
Yeah.
And everybody was just like, what the hell is this? Because, I mean, Dan Marino, I think he threw 20 touchdown passes and 6 interceptions his first year. And, everybody was like, we've never seen quarterbacking like this before. And that's what it reminded me of. It reminded me of Dan Marino walking in.
And I'm not sitting there saying that I thought he would do this right away. No. I didn't. I never thought he would play this well right away, especially considering how awful the Texans have been. They've been the worst team in the NFL, Joe, for the last 3 or 4 years.
Since the Kansas City game.
Pretty much. Since Deshaun Watson decided to not play anymore.
Right.
They've been the worst team in the league. And now, they were so bad that they had 2 draft picks in the top 5.
Right.
They got their quarterback. They got their pass rusher. I told you at the time, I love both those picks.
Yeah.
And now, CJ Stroud is he's like 6th in the NFL in touchdown passes and has the least amount of interceptions of anybody who's active.
Right. Yeah, no, he's been everything he advertised and more. There's nobody can put anything down on this kid. And you think about it, how fast he's coming along. He can only get better from here. I mean, He doesn't even know what he's doing yet.
Exactly.
Pretty much. So you gotta look. The bar is going to be really raised on him. Browns Ravens. The Browns upset the Ravens early in the year, but right now the Ravens are playing like they're the best team in football. Is Deshaun Watson, first of all, is he going to start, and is he going to play the whole game, or is he going to run off with another phantom injury?
I don't know. I just know that the Deshaun Watson that we saw a couple of years ago in the playoffs, that got had that big lead on Kansas City and was really in the conversation for MVP of the league. That guy, I don't think, is ever coming back. He may get better with a little more time. I don't know, but that guy's never coming back.
I don't think he has the hunger anymore. Everything's guaranteed to him now. He knows he can't be cut. He knows he's got the Browns by the short hairs, and he can pick and choose. I mean, you got a coach who's dead man walking there. I mean, let's face facts. It's a miracle he's still there. It's just I think Haslam didn't want to make himself look bad by firing another coach just 1 or 2 years into his time there. But I don't see him Watson. I don't see him having the hunger. I really don't. And and also you're in a division with Joe Burrow and Jackson, and you're going to be the third quarterback in that race, no matter what way you look at it. Yeah. Yeah, I don't see that. I think Baltimore will take care of them tomorrow. I think Baltimore is serious this year. I think they see a window. You look around. Kansas City is winning, but not winning spectacularly. The Bills look to be a little bit of a mess. The Jets lost Rodgers. The Bengals are just starting to catch fire. I mean, if you look around the league right now, if you were to put odds on it, if you were to go to Vegas, I would say it would go Baltimore. And then you put Cincinnati as the second chance, and you put the Jags as third right now. I think. I don't know about you.
They've looked good. I mean, they were undefeated in the month of October, so it's hard to not say that. I'm not sure I'm ready to put them up in the upper echelon just yet, but maybe so. Maybe I'm wrong. But I definitely think it's going to be interesting to see what happens moving forward. Back to something you were just talking about, the Jets. How can they not take this guy off the field? What is going on? Because they asked Robert Saleh the other day. Somebody straight up asked him in his press conference. They're like, Robert, if players aren't doing their jobs, if they're not performing, you replace them. So
right.
How can you not take this guy out of the game that's not performing at the level that he should be and try someone else when every other position is like that? And he told the guy, that's a great question. And then he said, I really don't have an answer.
Joe Douglas does not want to look stupid. Joe Douglas does not want to look like look, every general manager in football has made a bad decision or two. I mean, it comes with the territory. I mean, that's why I love these draftniks like Mel Kiper and these people who get all crazy about the draft. The draft's a 50-50 proposition. I mean, half these guys that come out are good. Had the other half are just they were on good teams or they were overrated because they were playing against opponents who weren't up to their level. It's about getting better and keeping getting better. Zach Wilson, we talked about it. Joe Douglas got fooled by the COVID. I mean, if you look at that schedule that BYU played that year, they did not play anybody. Nobody.
No, and but I don't understand why you won't just admit your mistake. He could have cut this guy last year. They couldn't trade him. No one wanted him. I mean, when you're trying to trade a quarterback that you've drafted 2 overall, and no one will give you anything for him, there's your answer.
Well, there's a great example right now. Do you think Tennessee's, stumbling over moving on from Malik Willis, who was supposed to be their quarterback in the future? No, they went out and drafted another quarterback. Now, you and I both had questions about him in Kentucky, but right now he's playing very well, and they might have found.
Hey, good for him. And you know what? Good for him. I'm proud of the Titans because they didn't just get rid of Willis. He'd only, that was his first year. So they gave him another chance. They kept him on the roster, which I was kind of surprised at. They put him out there to start a game this year, and it was just horrendous.
Right.
So then they were like, man, forget this. They were like, we got to see what we've got with this other guy. And they put him out there, and he looked unbelievable in the first game. Not quite as good in the second, but looked really good in the first game. And he's definitely, no doubt, an upgrade over Malik Willis. Right. So they've admitted their mistake and they've moved on, and that's what the Jets need to do.
Right. He's got the size of a quarterback. Will Levis has the size of an NFL quarterback. He's got some athletic ability, and like I said, it's what he's going to do with it. I mean, he's got to put the time in. He's got to be a guy willing to do what the great quarterbacks do, which is put the time in, do the film study, and be there. And he has a chance to be a good quarterback. Will he be on the level of Burrow and those guys? I don't know. But I know one thing. He's better than Malik Willis, and right now he's probably better than Tannehill, except he doesn't have Tannehill's experience. So
yeah, he doesn't have Tannehill's injuries either. So, I think it's time to move on from him. They, keep him for the rest of the year and let him back up Will Levis, but there's no reason to go back to that guy.
No, the upside of him, so it's not going to happen. Let's go back. Let's look at the Jets tomorrow because I was out doing some errands this morning, and of course, the guy up in the area, Joe Beningo, who's a really good radio host up here. A bit much sometimes because he's a fan. He's a true fan, and that's what makes him entertaining. But he's a big Jet fan, and he's like, this is the Jets season right now. This is what the Jets need to win this game. And I understand where he's coming from, but I also understand that even if they win and beat the Raiders, it doesn't really make them what they would have been with Aaron Rodgers. I'm sorry, it doesn't. And they can beat the Raiders all they want, but then they still got to beat the Bills again. They got to beat Miami. They always have trouble with the Patriots, especially if Zach Wilson in there. And believe me, man, if this Patriot team beats the Jets in the last game of the season, I think they play the last game of the season, and keeps them out of the playoffs or from a winning record, it could be Salah's job.
Yeah, no, I mean, I that's what's really surprising to me is that, Robert Saleh isn't making a move. I mean, as you mentioned, maybe his hands are tied and he can't. Well, then he needs to come out and say that, because he's the one that's going to get fired. Will they fire the GM? Maybe, but he's going to lose his job, and who knows if he'll ever get a chance again. I mean, look at the difference between Sam Howell and Zach Wilson. I mean, is Sam Howell the future in Washington? I don't know. Is he a great quarterback? I'm not sure. But he's thrown for almost 2,500 yards, 14 touchdowns. And then you got Zach Wilson, who's thrown for 1,600 yards and 5 touchdowns. I mean, it's just bad. I can't wrap my head around how bad this guy is. It's sad. And I honestly almost kind of feel bad for the kid.
Well, you do, because he's on a stage in New York where he's going to get roasted every week. But the fact of the matter is, like, he deserves to get roasted. The thing about going back to Salah is, if Joe Douglas is tying up his hands and saying no, you need to keep Zach in there, then Salah's got to have the guts to sit there and then fire me. You're going to fire me anyways. You might as well fire me now.
That's
because
what
I'm going to get the blame for this anyways. Let me at least coach it my way. Great coaches. I don't care if it's Mike Tomlin. No GM would tell Mike Tomlin who's starting for quarterback for him.
Nope.
He would sit there and go, first of all, it's my team. Yes, you gave me the roster. I run the roster. See you later. Great coaches would not let that be happening. I mean, think about it in San Francisco. I mean, they did not hesitate once they found Brock Purdy, and John Lynch at least admitted his mistake and said, "Okay, I made and he made as big a mistake as Joe Douglas did, if not bigger, because he traded away players to get the draft pick or draft picks to get the draft pick." So it was like great GMs admit their mistakes. Hey, you're not going to hit a home run every time on these quarterbacks. And look at the Giants. I mean, I believed in Daniel Jones. I still think the kid. I give him credit for the beating he took and everything, but it's just not meant to be. It looks like. I mean, he's just injury prone. There's just something that's good. He's not Eli Manning. Eli for any mistakes he could have made, he was all in there every Sunday, and you knew it.
Yeah. And there's the best, the best feature of a quarterback. Number one is availability. Right. You have to be able to go out there and play. And if you're not going to be able to do that, then who's to say the team just can't count on you? Right. And not only that, but even when he is available, 50% of the time he's not great. Right. So but that's the thing is these coaches need to be able to decide which guy they want to roll with. You have to be able to choose who you want to be your quarterback because your job is the one that's on the line.
Now, I didn't pick up on it because I'm not a Jet fan, so I'm not going to get really crazy about it. But now I agree with the Jet fans that a big red flag should have been on the bye week when he went home to Utah. Zach, you're having trouble. Why don't you get out on the field with Garrett Wilson and just say, let's toss the ball around, run some routes? Why don't you bring in all your wide receivers and your tight ends and do some 7-on-7s or something to get yourself some practice, some reps? Why aren't you at Florham Park reviewing tape with Nathaniel Hackett and going, these are the plays I feel comfortable with. These are the plays I don't feel comfortable with. Maybe we can work on the game plan for this. Maybe he should have been doing that instead of taking his girlfriend out to meet the family in Utah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much he cares. I mean, that's kind of the one thing I noticed too when I see him out there. I'm not sure how much he cares, and that's a big problem. If the quarterback doesn't care whether or not you win, then let me tell you what, it's hard for anyone else on the team.
Look at Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson has the quarterback mentality on that offense.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who jumps up and down and slams his helmet, and he's the one who pulls a Brady. He's the one who would pick up an iPad and break it if it's not going right. Zach Wilson just comes over, puts his baseball cap on. I maybe just looking at YouTube or something over there. I don't know. I don't think he's reviewing the play he just made.
No, he's definitely not. He doesn't care. I mean, that's why he's not reviewing them. Is it would be hard to watch. First off, I don't blame him for not wanting to watch himself play. I don't want to watch him play, so I'm sure he probably doesn't. But also, I'm not sure he cares that much. He's got money. He's a young guy. He's got girls. He's got things he wants to do, and I don't think he really cares whether or not he does well.
He's got all his mom's friends. If he needs sex, he's got everything going for him.
That is the one thing I kind of like about him. He likes the Cougars.
He's got the Cougars, and he's riding with them. Maybe trade him to the Panthers. He loves Cougars. Maybe he'll love the Panthers. I don't know.
Well, he could probably do better than Bryce Young. I mean, that's...
Well, yes. It's another sore subject right now. So we have those games tomorrow. What other games were you looking at that kind of stir? How about the Steelers-Packers?
Yeah, that one to me is an interesting game because I still want to see, what Jordan Love looks like against this Steeler defense. I mean, he's kind of been up and down. He hasn't been horrible, but I'm not sure the Packers are ready to mortgage their future with this guy, and I think they want to see more of him as they go down the stretch. And so that's what I want to see is what he looks like against this Steelers team. The Packers right now are 3-5, 1-3 on the road. If they lose this game right here, they're pretty close to being done. I mean, the Vikings are 5-4. The Lions have a better record than that. If the Packers were to lose this game, it's pretty much done for them. So that's what's interesting to me. The other game that I'm kind of interested to watch is the Titans game versus the Buccaneers. Our boy Baker Mayfield's playing some good football.
He is.
He has no running game. Their defense has just gone down the commode somehow, which I can't really figure out because a lot of the personnel is still there. The coach is still there that handled the defense. So I can't figure out for the life of me why their defense sucks. But they do. Regardless, Baker's continued to play well. And this is kind of a good matchup. Both teams are 3-5. You got Will Levis out there, running the team now for the Titans. And then you got Baker playing some pretty good football. So, I know they lost last week. The Buccaneers did, but Baker Mayfield drove them down the field and scored to take the lead with what was it, like 45 seconds left?
Yeah.
I mean, he basically led them down for a game-winning drive, and then the defense failed them again. So
Right.
I'm interested to see that as far as who can, win a game between those two teams.
Yeah, I like that. Look, the Buccaneers aren't going to go anywhere this year. They're not. But I mean, at least maybe Baker silenced some of these critics who never gave him a chance. I mean, he was hurt last year with the Browns for sure. He wasn't playing his best football, but he was hurt. He played the whole season hurt. And, in last year, yes, he didn't get off to a good start with Carolina. And that team was a mess too. Now, at least he's got kind of a stable circumstance there. And I think he's somebody that I don't know if he'll ever take the Bucs to the promised land, but he's somebody who can win some games and keep them competitive. And it's good to see, just the people get off his back. Just give him a chance.
Well, yeah, but they're not even giving him any credit. I mean, no one's really ripping on Baker
No,
right
because
now.
then they'd have to admit they're wrong. Then you have to admit they're wrong.
No one's giving him any credit for what he's doing, even though everyone knows he's throwing it every time because they can't run the football to save their lives.
Right.
But it's just shocking to me. I mean, I know Jason Pierre-Paul is gone, but they still have Shaq Barrett. They've still got Levante David. They still have Devin White. They still have that entire secondary. So it's just confusing to me. Vita Vea is still there. It's confusing to me why this defense is so bad.
Yeah. I don't know because, you'd think with Todd Bowles, it would be the same way. It'd be just the same, but it's definitely changed something there. And in that division, that's another division where we talked about anybody could take it. I mean, you could take the division. I don't think any of those teams are going to the Super Bowl coming out of there, but anybody can take that division, and it is an NFC division. So outside of the Niners, when they're healthy, and the Eagles, anybody can take the NFC. I mean, it's just what it is. Back to the Pittsburgh Green Bay game. Another quarterback who's the rush to judgment's going on around here, especially on the national syndicated shows. Kenny Pickett. I mean, he's not lighting up the joint, but they're winning, and I don't think anybody behind him is a better choice. And I don't think that you're going to have a chance at a big draft choice with the Pittsburgh Steelers because I think they're a good enough team to make the playoffs or be knocking on the door of the playoffs. In fact, in some scenarios, I could see 3 teams coming out of that North and making the playoffs. So these people who want them to move on from Kenny Pickett, I think they're give him a chance to see what he can do. It's not. Look, I watched him closely the last couple of weeks. He does tend to panic and throw the ball high, and his accuracy bothers me. He misses some wide open guys because he tries to put too much on the ball, but that can be adjusted. That can be taught. You get the right offensive coordinator or quarterback coach in there with him. You can teach him how. He seems to have the skills. I hate when announcers sit there and they start jumping up and down. Move on, move on, move on. Look, I'm ready to move on from Daniel Jones because I've seen a real big sampling of him. And his biggest problem is his injuries. So I'm ready to move on from that. I'm ready to move on from Zach Wilson because I've seen a big sampling of him. Kenny Pickett, I haven't seen the sampling yet. I haven't seen what he can't do. And I know one thing he does, which I remember reading John Madden's first book when he talked about Terry Bradshaw and Joe Namath. He goes, I judge the quarterback by the fourth quarter. What's he like in the fourth quarter? If he's had a crappy game and he's still crappy in the fourth quarter, then I worry. If he has a crappy game and suddenly turns into a Superman in the fourth quarter, I like that. So,
well, let's be honest. Okay, this is year 2.
Right.
All right. He didn't start all of last year. He was banged up. He wasn't the start at the beginning of the season. So this is his first year truly starting, and he's been a little bit banged up this year. And let's be honest, man, that Steelers offensive line is not good. Okay, they cannot run the football. Najee Harris, who I think is a serviceable running back, he's got 3.8 yards per carry is what he's averaging. He's got 382 yards on the season. He has 2 touchdowns rushing.
Right.
Okay. The team as a whole has 4 touchdowns rushing. Okay. That's not good. He's getting sacked. He's under pressure. He doesn't have that much time to throw it. And, he just got Deontay Johnson back. And since he's gotten Deontay Johnson back, he's looked better.
And he doesn't have Freiermuth.
He's been banged up as well. So getting Deontay Johnson back has helped him. He's looked better since he's gotten him. And look at the difference between when Pickett has gone out and Trubisky's had to play. There's a big difference between that. And that's how I look at it.
So I say give the kid a chance. I'm just so sick and tired of these people who have to sit there and I've seen enough. How can you say you've seen enough? He started 7 games, 8 games. How can you say that's enough? I mean, I remember, look, I've watched football since the 70s, and I've seen quarterbacks like Phil Simms when he was first in with the Giants. I don't know how many times he got benched until he finally turned into a Super Bowl winning quarterback. These supposed pundits that just want to bench these guys, give a sampling size. They're winning. There's no reason to bench him when you're winning.
You're 5-3. Okay.
Right.
If you're 2-6, 2-7, sit him down. But you're winning football games, and this guy, is potentially your future. Let's find out what he's about. Let's leave him out there and see what he's got. I've been impressed with him at times, and I think he just needs more experience, and that's something that you can only get by playing.
I looked up the other night after the game, or last week after the game when I watched him, or whatever last time I saw Pittsburgh play, and I looked at Ben Roethlisberger's first years. Now, Ben Roethlisberger, yes, they won a lot of games, but his stats were not spectacular. I mean, just like Brady's when he first started, his stats were good, but they weren't Hall of Fame type stats. You weren't sitting there going, he wasn't matching Peyton Manning's pass for pass. Sometimes it takes a while to get it in your head how to play quarterback in the NFL, and restarting the clock every year or every 2 years with a new quarterback gets you nowhere.
Well, not only that, but he doesn't have to do a ton. Right. They have one of the best defenses in the league. They have one of the best, if not the best, defensive player in all of football in TJ Watt. All you have to do is not make a ton of mistakes, get points when you can, and get the lead the offense. Your defense is going to keep you in the game. Alex Highsmith is playing at an all-pro level. TJ Watt, as I said, is one of the best players in all of football, and this defense as a whole is doing a really good job. So just do your job and get better each week. That's the thing that I want to see from him. Can he get better? Right. Keep watching him, see if he gets better. If he improves a little bit as the year goes along, there you go. You got your guy. If he doesn't, then you can start planning for the future.
Right. And Mike Tomlin's going to keep you competitive no matter who the quarterback is. How about the Jaguars and the Niners? Before, I guess they're going to have Samuel back this week, from what I hear. Debo.
Yeah, everyone is kind of pointing to that as the reason why the Niners have been struggling. let me tell you what, that is not the issue. Trent Williams is the issue. Trent Williams, ever since he's gone out of the game when he got injured, the Niners have gone backwards. Okay,
Yeah.
that is the difference in this team. Is the Trent Williams may be, as his own teammates have said, he may be the best player in all of football. Okay, he's definitely one of the best, if not the best, left tackles in all of football. He not only is a great pass blocker, he's one of the best run blocking left tackles I've ever seen. He makes a huge difference, and when he's not out there, it changes everything. So I want to see him get back. I don't think he's going to be back this week. He's listed right now, I believe, is doubtful, maybe questionable. So I'm not sure if he plays this week, but he'll be back next week. And let me tell you, as soon as he comes back and he is healthy, the Niners will begin to roll again. I guarantee it.
Yeah, but the only thing about it is, I mean, they can't afford to have the Seahawks jump ahead of them. I mean, the Rams the rest of that division is okay. The Seahawks,
true, but they've got to play each other twice in the next 4 weeks.
Okay.
So even if they lose this game, I'm not really. I mean, it would be bad to lose 4 in a row. There's no doubt. But even if they were to lose to the Jaguars, I still wouldn't necessarily be hitting the panic button because the Seahawks haven't blown me away. I'm not sure if you watched the game last week.
No, I didn't.
But the Seahawks got absolutely dominated the entire game by the Ravens. It was 37-3, and honestly, it wasn't even that close. Okay, the rookie for the Ravens, Mitchell, the running back, he had 9 carries for 138 yards. And to be honest with you, before the week before, I didn't even know who he was. And Keaton Mitchell is his name, and he dominated that Seahawks defense. The Seahawks offense could get nothing going. Geno looked like New York Jets Geno, 13 of 28, 150 yards and an interception. They had 28 yards rushing. So I'm not really worried about the Niners because I think even though the Seahawks are 5-3, I still believe that the Niners are the best team in that division.
All right, one other interesting game that I see this week is the Lions-Chargers. Chargers won against the Jets, but I'm not sure it was them riding the ship as much as the Jets kind of losing their way. The Lions, we're both on their bandwagon early, but they got to start. This is a big game for me to see because I mean the Chargers do have talent. And this is the kind of a game that I want to see the Lions win, especially after what they got at the hands of the Ravens a few weeks ago. I want to see them dominate this game.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, the Lions defense has been playing better, but this is going to be a good test for them on the road against a really good quarterback whose offense has been playing pretty well as of late. So I think this is an important game for the Lions. If they can win this game and go, get on the board at 7-2, other teams in their division are going to have a tough time catching them. So I think I'm with you. I think this is a huge football game for Detroit all the way around. Now, I'm loving what I'm seeing out of Jared Goff. Me and you love this guy. We've liked him the whole time, and I just continue to like him each and every week. Not only is he a good player and is he leading this team, but he is a really good leader for this entire club, and they're starting to get Jahmyr Gibbs more involved.
Yep.
He's leading this team in rushing.
He's fast.
He took over. I mean, this is a guy that can go the distance on every single time he touches the ball.
Yeah.
So I'm liking that. He's averaging almost 70 yards a game now on the ground, but not more than that is I'm liking what they're doing with him in the passing game. He's starting to catch more balls. He's got 33 targets on the year, 28 receptions. He's going to be more of a factor, I think, in everything they do. So I'm looking to see more out of him. And what can you say about this tight end, Sam Laporta? He's second on the team in catches with 43. He's got 434 yards and 4 touchdowns. So I thought he'd be a good tight end. I really did. I did not think he would be doing what he's doing in his first season. And I think that's very impressive.
All right. With the time we got left, I want to go over a couple of things here. What we're going to start out with, going to start the AFC. I'm going to name you a team, give you a name of a team, and tell me if we're going to have a different coach next year or the same coach. We already know the Raiders are going to have probably a different coach. I don't think Pierce is going to make muster unless he does a great job, and maybe they do what they should have done before they went out and hired Josh McDaniel and keep the coach they got in-house. But we'll go the Raiders. We know it's going to be a different coach starting next year than was this year. Chargers, will Staley still be there?
I'm going to say no. I think, I'm surprised he's still there now, just considering he's supposed to be a defensive guy, and their issues have all been on defense. So I just think at this point, they're going to move on.
You have to, because you can't waste that quarterback. You can't keep wasting him, and that's what they're doing right now. Browns, we're going to see a different Stefanski finally gone.
I don't know. I got to be honest with you. I'm going to have to see what happens with this team. Right now, I think he's actually done a pretty good job considering, what they've dealt with at the quarterback position. I mean, they've played three different guys, including a rookie that started one game in Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and then, a guy who honestly shouldn't be starting games in the NFL. And obviously I'm talking about PJ Walker. So the fact that they're 5-3, I would say right now his job is safe. Now, if they take a tumble and they go, downhill the rest of the way, then I can see a move being made. But if they, keep doing what they're doing and continue to win like they are, I think they'll keep him on board.
Down in Tennessee, the emergence of Will Levis, will that buy some time for Vrabel?
That one to me is tricky because, I love Mike Vrabel. I think he is a great football coach, but they're 0-4 on the road. They're 3-5. They have a new GM who didn't hire Mike Vrabel from the beginning. So that's why, I'm not sure what the relationship is like between Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel. Do these two guys get along? Does Carthon want Mike Vrabel there? That's what I don't know. So that one to me, I'm going to say I have no idea because I'm not sure what the rest of the season is going to look like for them. And I'm also not sure whether or not the GM wants Mike Vrabel to be there.
How about the Bills? McDermott, is the hot seat getting hotter for him now? I mean, they're supposed to be knocking on the door, and right now it seems like other teams are ready to blow by him. What do you think about him, McDermott?
I still think the Bills are going to win that division. I think they're going to be in the playoffs. I think they're going to win a couple of games in the playoffs. Are they going to win the Super Bowl? I don't know. But I think he'll still be the coach next year.
Saleh, we talked about already. We both believe that, he has to somehow show improvement. He's got to take the reins with Zach Wilson and fix that quarter. Get something for their fan base to believe in, or else I think they're going to show him the door. And I like Saleh.
I do too, but I mean, he hasn't won. And, if they miss the playoffs again, you kind of have to, someone's got to take the blame. And I've got to believe, I think he feels like he's safe, but I'm not so sure he is. We know in the NFL, the coach is the first guy that usually gets the axe. And I think if they, take a nosedive the rest of the season, I could easily see him getting fired.
And everybody's putting it out there, I can't see the Patriots firing Belichick. Maybe at the end of the year, a mutual agreement, he walks away. I think he still wants to coach. I think he wants that record. But it may not be in New England. What do you think of the chances of him coming back next year?
We talked about this a little bit a couple of weeks ago, and I just, couldn't even believe we were talking about it. But as the year goes on, they're not getting better.
Right.
This team is getting worse. Obviously, this quarterback is not improving. He is getting worse. They are 2-7 right now. And I have to be honest with you, if they lose tomorrow against the Colts team with their backup quarterback, I could potentially see them parting ways. I'm not so sure he would get fired, but I could see a move being made.
Okay. Let's go over to the NFC. Washington, the Commanders. I don't see Rivera coming back next year. I
No,
think
he's done.
new. It's a new ownership group. They didn't hire him. I mean, they start trading great players away. So I think the signs on the wall that they're going to bring a new guy in and give him a chance to build the program.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's been on the fence the last couple of years, and this is another team that just hasn't, for whatever reason, taken that next step. They've had issues across the board at quarterback. I mean, it's just a different guy every single year. But as we already discussed, the coach is inevitably the guy that takes the blame if the quarterback doesn't progress, or if the quarterback doesn't lead you to victories. They're 4-5 right now. This is a huge week for them this week. But as you mentioned, they got rid of two of their best pass rushers, and that's not going to help them against the Seahawks. So I have a hard time believing that they're going to really turn it around and have a winning record and be fighting to make the playoffs. I think they're going to miss the playoffs, and I think they're going to fire them.
Okay. How about one you wouldn't think of, but you think about LaFleur up in Green Bay. He was supposed to be developing Jordan Love, and like you said, this is a big week for Jordan Love against the Pittsburgh defense. But he was supposed to be developing Jordan Love. Aaron Rodgers leaves town. Maybe not. He had something to do with that. I don't know. There's no way to tell. LaFleur, I mean, he's been a playoff coach, but now without Rodgers, he's not so much. What about his time in Green Bay?
I think he'll be back next year. I think that we're starting to see, this kind of like Zach Taylor before he got Joe Burrow. He was a mess, and that franchise was a mess. And then he got the number one pick in the draft and one of the best quarterbacks that we have seen in the last 30 or 40 years in Joe Burrow. And all of a sudden, everybody thinks Zach Taylor is a great coach. I'm not so sure he is, but, Joe Burrow certainly hides a lot of the warts for old Zach Taylor. And I think that's what we saw up in Green Bay. Now, I'm not going to say that Aaron Rodgers didn't get credit, because he did. I mean, he got 3 MVPs in a row, so it's hard not to say he didn't get credit. But the coach got a lot of credit for them winning those games. And now you're kind of seeing what it looks like without the MVP. And so I think that he, to answer your question, I think he'll be the coach next year. But I think if next year looks like this year, I think that they may start thinking about
gets tightened.
Correct.
How about the Bears? And the only reason I'm bringing it up, I know it's a new coach and everything. The only thing I'm bringing it up for is that is a very attractive place because of the draft choice they get. They got 2 first-round draft choices, which look to be in the top 5 or something next year.
Both of them, yeah. They may have 2 picks in the top 3.
Yeah.
That is why I think it's a good point to bring up, because you want to make sure you have the right guy. That being said, the last 3 or 4 weeks, the Bears have shown a lot of improvement to me, and mainly on the defensive side. The defense is what I think has led a lot of people to want to get rid of Jbixville. I mean, he's supposed to be there to fix the defense, and the defense has been garbage. But, I mean, now that I've really paid attention to them, they've been missing a lot of guys. A lot of their secondary guys were back, especially this past game against the Panthers. And this defense looked a lot different. And obviously, I'm talking about Jaquan Brisker, Kyle Gordon, for example. Kyle Gordon is a difference maker on defense. And with him back there, with Brisker back there, Yannick Ngakoue is still actually playing pretty well. And now they brought in Sweat, who they got from the Commanders. And that made a big difference. I don't know if you watched the game the other night, but
yeah, I did.
He didn't have a ton of tackles, but he was making things uncomfortable for Bryce Young. He had 3 QB hits. He's a good player against the run. And so I think I think this team is trending in the right direction. If they can get Justin Fields back healthy and playing like he did his last 2 starts, I think Jbixville has a chance to save his job.
All right. Out in the West, Niners are set. Seahawks are set. Cardinals, I think that guy is going to get another year no matter what. I think. But how about McVay? He's always flirting with leaving. 3-6. That team's getting older. I don't know. Do you think he'll want to be around for the rebuild? I don't think they'll fire him. I think it would more be his choice to leave.
I could see that. I mean, he was talking about leaving after the Super Bowl, and then he stuck around last year, and it was a disaster. He didn't want to go out like that. He came back this year, and now they surprised a lot of people at the beginning of the season, and actually played better than we kind of, or at least I expected them to play. But now Stafford is hurt again. I think if they continue the trend of losing, and they continue to lose games down the stretch, I could easily see him stepping away, because he'll get hired in a second.
Oh yeah,
to be up in the booth and be a broadcaster, and that's a lot less stressful of a job.
And the other thing is, he's young enough where he could spend, I don't know if he'd want to, but spend a year up there in the booth, and just look at the landscape, and maybe come back down and take over another team.
Well, and pick his job. I mean, that's the thing. He could do the Sean Payton, where he could make several $1 million a year, calling games and working a couple days a week. And then, when the job of his choice opens up, he can throw his hat in the ring and then take it. So I could easily see that happening.
All right, and down in the South, neither of us likes Allen, but they're 5-4 on the top of their division. That might save them. Smith with the Falcons. I don't know. I don't see a major accomplishment with him. Todd Bowles, everybody loves him, but like you said, his defense is not what it used to be. The real one is going to be the Panthers, because they don't have that first round pick they need. And I don't know. What do you think of those coaches?
I could see all those guys coming back. I could see all those guys getting fired.
Yeah.
Dennis Allen, to me, is the one thing that holds these Saints back.
Yeah.
I watched them play, and especially their 4 losses, they're all games, in my opinion, that they could have won if the coach had just made some better decisions. Arthur Smith hasn't had a ton to work with. He hasn't had a quarterback since he's been there. But you know what? Lots of times the brass doesn't care. And if you don't start winning, they'll get rid of you. So I could see both those guys gone. I think Frank Reich is kind of unimpressive with what he's done so far in Carolina. I mean, it's only his first year.
Yeah, but you have to put that together with what he did with the Colts.
I agree. But I'm not sure if they think that way. But I think of the where they're at, 1-8 right now. They got the number 1 pick in the draft, and he is not getting better. In fact, he gets worse as the games go on. So I could see him going back. And then to go back to Dennis Allen, as I mentioned, the first game of the season, they lost to Tennessee 16, or they beat Tennessee 16-15. Then you think about week 3, they lost to Green Bay 18-17. Then they lost to Tampa Bay. They lost to Houston 20-13. They lost to Jacksonville 31-24. Every game is a close game, and a lot of them go the other way because of coaching decisions. So I could see him gone. And then what was the other team that he talked about? The Falcons, the Saints,
Buccaneers.
and the Buccaneers. I could see them moving on from him as well. Todd Bowles, I like him, but I am not impressed with him as a head coach.
I'm not impressed with him as a head coach, but I feel sorry for him, because that last year he was with the Jets, and they saddled him with Sam Darnold. They could have given him a chance to break it, have a veteran quarterback, break in Sam Darnold behind him, but because the people upstairs wanted to prove, picking Sam Darnold was the right thing to do, they rushed him in there, and it potentially, killed both. Thank you, Erica. Love you.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, I think he should have kept his job in New York, but I honestly think he could be shown the door here in Tampa. And the main reason for me is, like I mentioned before, the defense is getting worse, and they've got a lot of the same guys that they used to win a championship. And really, let's be honest, that Super Bowl was won because of the defense. And I think a lot of that has to fall on him.
And before we go off the air, I wanted to go into one, because it's a college, Notre Dame. the Sam Hartman experience is not getting it done. Marcus Freeman needs to get a quarterback in there or some. It's gone beyond Brian Kelly for me. How come Notre Dame can't get a damn quarterback? I mean, what you have the perfect situation for a quarterback. You will automatically be put into the Heisman argument, and you'll be on national TV every freaking week. And yet, no quarterback wants to go there.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Hartman was a big get for them, and they have a young guy on their team, on their roster right now that they brought in. They've got another young quarterback that's coming in next year, who's supposed to be pretty good. And so I think they're not going to get rid of Marcus Freeman right away. He's going to be their coach next year for sure. Whether or not he's able to get it done, I don't know. I thought he was doing a pretty good job until I saw the game last week against Clemson, and that to me was he got out coached, and that's not good when you get out coached by a team that is 4-4. And obviously, I'm talking about Clemson. Right. That was a big loss, and that came off. They just beat Pittsburgh last week, 58-7. So then you come back and you play Clemson, and you're winning the game, and you have plenty of chances to win the game, and then you lay an egg, and that to me was big. So the good news for Marcus Freeman is they finished the season with Wake and Stanford. Yeah. So barring some major catastrophe, they're going to finish the year 9-3. They'll go to a bowl game, probably win it. Because they'll probably play somebody that's inferior talent wise, so they'll probably finish 10-3. So he'll be back next year.
But I still want them to get a quarterback. I mean, it just boggles my mind that really they haven't had a good quarterback since. I mean, Tommy Rees was probably serviceable. I mean, Book was okay, but I mean a top-notch quarterback. One of these guys that seems to go to Ohio State, Alabama. Anywhere but Notre Dame, it seems.
Well, they had Ian Book was a good quarterback. I thought he was very good. He led them to a lot of victories, and then they've got CJ Carr coming in and committed to come next year. CJ Carr is I believe number 5 rated quarterback in the country, and he is supposed to be the real deal. Now, will he be available to start right away? I don't know, but this is a kid, Joe, who got offers from Alabama. He had offers from Georgia. He had an offer from Michigan. He's from Michigan, which is kind of crazy to me, and chose the Irish. So, but he had offers from everybody: Penn State, Wisconsin, LSU, Georgia, Bama. I mean, it was a big deal to get this guy, especially for Marcus Freeman. And, he's going to be in there next year. He's the number, I think, 36 rated player overall, number 5 rated quarterback. And the thing is, he's going to probably have to play right away. And that could either be good or bad.
All right. Well, that's going to be it for us today. We're going to get back to watching some football the rest of the weekend. What do you got going on tomorrow?
Yeah, we're going to have probably a little bit later start tomorrow. We got some folks that are traveling, so we're going to have man coverage on in the afternoon, probably around 3 or 4. But we're going to break down all the games. Obviously, we're going to talk a lot about the cheaters up north and try and figure out what the hell is wrong with these fans of theirs that are mad at the conference and the NCAA for trying to punish them for cheating. I mean, this is what you want your kids to learn, that cheating's okay. I mean, I don't think so, man. I mean, I played football for a long time. I never cheated once. And, win or lose, as long as you can look at yourself in the mirror afterwards, that's what it's supposed to be about. So we're obviously going to talk about the cheaters. We're going to talk about Penn State. Question I've got for you right now is James Franklin.
I know.
What's up with this guy, man? I mean, he beats everybody he's supposed to beat, but anytime he plays a team with a pulse, it seems like
Yeah.
he cannot
He freezes. Like you said earlier, that first touchdown drive, or should have been the first field goal drive. He drives for field goals. He doesn't drive for touchdowns. He drives for field goals.
And then the next time they come down and they get back to the 3, first down and goal from the 3 again, and they don't get any points. And they go for it on fourth down on that drive and then get no points. So they had 4 plays to get in the end zone, or 7 plays, I guess, if you want to count the previous drive, 7 plays from the 3, and they can't score. It's to me, is the question is, where does Penn State want to be? Does Penn State want to win a national championship, or is Penn State content with winning 9 games a year?
That is the question. And that's the question for a lot of these teams up there. That is the biggest question for a lot of these teams. You can say that, about teams like UCLA. You can say it about teams like, I don't know, we do a litany of teams going up and down. But the fact of the matter is, there's only maybe 3 or 4 coaches around right now to tip the scales in college football towards being a champion. And unfortunately, James Franklin doesn't seem to be one of them.
Yeah, I mean, but this is going to change because coming next year, there's going to be a 12-team playoff, and you have got to have a guy that can win games against teams that maybe you shouldn't beat. You got to come up with a game plan, got to be a good play caller, got to be good situationally. You have to have somebody that can get it done, because if you're good enough to get into that 12-team race, then you've got a shot to win it all. And I just don't feel like, he can get it done. Because what I've seen in the past, he just can't win a game when he's playing a good team, or a team that's better maybe than his team is. And that's that to me, at some point you'd think that he just, by law of percentages, he would win one of them, but he never has.
Yeah, it's like, Harbaugh, when he finally beat Ohio State, eventually, if you play long enough, you're going to get that one victory there. Whatever.
Yeah, especially if you cheat.
Just what you needed. One more reason to hate Michigan.
Man, I got to tell you, I've always hated them, but at least I had a tiny bit of respect for them. That, my friend, is gone.
You know what yesterday was? The anniversary of the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Another reason to hate Michigan.
Yep. No doubt.
All right, my friend. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, and I'll see you next week.
Sounds good, bud.